Welcome to Winning Wednesdays for Wednesday, May 6th, 2026. Today's the best day in history. Today's the best day in history. I purposely say that every week because with a few clicks on this supercomputer, we can make a lot happen. Today's the best day in history to be business savvy. Today's the best day in history to have access to the super technologies. Today's the best day in history to be alive. So every Wednesday, I feel it's the best day in history. Today, I wanted to discuss several articles. I've got several things in my notes here I wanted to discuss. But as you guys come in, let us know where you're from. Let us know where you're from. Every Wednesday at noon Eastern, we discuss current events in the financial markets. A lot to discuss this week. Lots going on. I wanted to start. Actually, let's get straight into. Maybe we get straight into the articles today. I also saw an article from Yahoo Finance discussing NVIDIA's market share. We're going to discuss that as well. So that's in my notes as well. But as you guys come in, let us know where you're from. While you do that, let me pull up my FinViz. Let's see what's let's check FinViz's heat map right quick. Let's check FinViz's heat map. Let's see what current market is looking like. Let me share my screen here. Let me share my screen. Okay, here we go. Okay, let's see what the market looks like as of 12:02 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so this is where we stand. This is the one-day performance today. NVIDIA up about 4.5%. Microsoft up about 1%. Google 2%. Amazon about flat. Meta about 1.5. Tesla just over 1. Walmart slightly down. ExxonMobil down almost 5%. JP Morgan up 2%. There's a couple tickers I have in my notes here I wanted to discuss. A couple of these tickers have been on fire recently. Maybe we take a look at these tickers charts. Let me see here. Okay, let's actually go to Google. Okay, so that's the one day. That's where we stand today. So far today. 2.5 hours into market today. Market opens at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. We're just after 12 p.m. Eastern. So about 2.5 hours later, this is where we stand so far today. Okay. Let me pull up Google. There's a few tickers I want to discuss, and then we can get into the news. Let me see here. Let me pull it up, and then I'll share my screen here. Okay, here we go. All right, let me start sharing that one. Let me see if I could do this correctly. Let me stop sharing that one. Let me share this ticker's chart. You might have noticed this ticker shot up a lot in the last week, and that is Bitcoin. Okay, let's take a quick look at Bitcoin, up just over 1% today. Let's see here. In the last week, though, it's up about 4.5%. Okay, up about 4.5%, about $4,900 up to 111. 111. Actually, this is in Canadian. Canadian dollars. Let me check the USD. I'm in Canada right now, so I think Google defaults to Canadian dollars. But in terms of USD, let's check the USD. Bitcoin is currently at 81.6. Okay, so this says CAD. Bitcoin, let's check if I can pull up the USD. 81.6. There we go. 81.6. All right. Okay, this is one chart I want to quickly look at. This one's been on fire the last week. So 3,400 USD, up about 4% this past 5 days. Another one that's been on fire recently, you might have noticed, AMD. Okay, 415 on AMD. Last week, it's been up 22%. Okay, so that's another ticker that's been on fire recently. BTC on fire, AMD on fire, and another one is SanDisk. Sandisk stock price. Let's check this. Last 5 days, up 26%. Okay, 26% in the last 5 days. Sandisk. Okay, so 3 tickers that have been on fire in the last 5 days: Sandisk, Bitcoin, and AMD. Okay, Sandisk, Bitcoin, and AMD are making people rich. Sandisk, AMD, and Bitcoin are making people rich. All right. All right. So a few tickers right there I wanted to talk about. Let me get back. All right. Who do we got? We got my guy El Haj. Peace, El Haj. My guy Garnell. Peace, Garnell. And Jen. Peace to Jen. Peace to everyone in the chat. All right. Welcome. Okay, so let's get to some news. Let me pull up Google right quick. And let's get into some headlines here. Stock market headlines. Maybe. Okay, I'm going to share my screen right here. Let me press the right button first. Okay, here we go. Okay, investing.com. All right, let me see if I can get this into US. Let me see if I can get this into US stock market news. Okay, CNBC Dow rises 500 points as oil retreats on Iran deal progress. AMD jumps, okay, after earnings. They had earnings yesterday. We'll talk about earnings shortly. Let's see what else we have here. According to Reuters, S&P, NASDAQ hit record highs. Let's check out this article from Reuters. S&P, NASDAQ hit record highs on AI optimism, Middle East peace hopes. All right, let's see what this article says. May 6th, S&P, SPX, and NASDAQ IXIC hit record highs on Wednesday, extending their strong run powered by sustained enthusiasm around AI and the prospect of a U.S.-Iran peace agreement. The latest round of AI frenzy came after AMD forecast second quarter revenue above expectations on robust demand for its data center chips. The rally has shown that the market cannot escape the euphoria surrounding AI investment. According to Schwab, looks like a more protracted war and further climb in gas prices make for stronger spending headwinds, but until there are clear signs of job loss, the economy remains distant from a full-blown recession. ADP report on Wednesday showed U.S. private sector employment jumped by 109,000 jobs in April, biggest increase in over a year. Meanwhile, oil prices fell to a 2-week low, with Brent crude futures slipping 6.5% and dragging the S&P Energy Index 3% lower. Washington and Tehran were closing in on an agreement over a one-page memo to end the war. Okay, so this is Reuters. Let's go back. Okay, new record highs in the market, NASDAQ and S&P. Let's check all here. Let's see what else we have. Same headline from Yahoo Finance. Stock market today, S&P, NASDAQ notch fresh records as tech leads. All right, we can get into some of these headlines in specifics right now. Let's get into some of the headlines I have for you, some of the articles I have for you. Okay, so the first one being, you might have heard a couple weekends ago, Spirit Airlines went out of business. I saw an article discussing their finances, so I want to talk about this article discussing Spirit Airlines' finances. So let's get into their finances. Let's see what happened. Let's see what happened here. Okay, Spirit Airline is no more, and now the blame game begins. Let's see what's going on here. It's from article from Monday. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Let me see if I can pause this video before we start. Budget Airlines, Spirit Airlines, ticker symbol FLYYQ is no more, and the fallout is just beginning. After years of financial turbulence, Spirit Airlines officially ceased all operations at 3 a.m. Eastern Saturday, marking the end of one of America's most recognizable budget carriers. The airline's collapse came after a blocked merger attempt, a bankruptcy filing, and a failed government bailout. Spirit is actually headquartered in Broward County, Florida, not too far from Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport. So I've driven past Spirit headlines, their headquarters there in Broward County, and their headquarters isn't an old building; it's a fairly new building, maybe 2 or 3 years old. So it's kind of surprising that they built a brand new facility there in Broward, and then not too long later, they went completely out of business. So rest in peace to Spirit Airlines. Spirit passengers holding tickets were notified that their flights would not operate, with Spirit directing customers to seek refunds through the bankruptcy process, a slow and uncertain process. Spirit's full cessation meant no automatic rebooking on partner carriers. Stranded passengers were largely on their own, though other airlines such as United. Let me make sure I didn't screw this up. Give me a second here. Let me make sure I'm sharing the right screen here. Okay. Stranded passengers were largely on their own, though other airlines such as United, American, and Delta offered price cap fares for Spirit passengers. Let me scroll down here. This looks exactly like it's Broward County right here. The little piece of this building right here, plus these palm trees. I'm suspecting that's Fort Lauderdale Airport right there. Oh, there you go. There you go. A Spirit Airlines message for customers on a pamphlet. Okay, they didn't have the decency to tell you face to face. They put it on a pamphlet on the wall of Fort Lauderdale Airport. A Spirit Airlines message for customers on a pamphlet after the company ceased global operations at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport on Friday in Fort Lauderdale, Florida on May 2nd. Spirit's downfall was long in the making. Let me go back. Okay. Spirit's downfall was long in the making. The airline had long operated on razor-thin margins. Okay, let's pause right there. I'm going to highlight these 3 words right here. Razor-thin margins. Okay, so for all those business owners, for all you aspiring business owners, you got to know your margin. Okay? You have to know if your margin is worthwhile. Okay, if you're operating on quote unquote razor thin margins, your business is vulnerable. Okay, your business is vulnerable. One exercise for everyone to do later today, or whenever you have time, go on your favorite AI model, search the businesses that have the largest profit margins. Okay, search the businesses, the publicly traded businesses with the largest margins. Okay, you're going to find a lot of them are in the S&P 500. Okay, that's not by accident. Okay, that's not by accident. As a business owner, you have to know your margin. All right, let's get back to the article. The airline had long operated on razor-thin margins as an ultra-low-cost carrier, relying on high passenger volume and various fees to offset low fares. When JetBlue proposed a $3.8 billion acquisition of Spirit in 2022, many saw it as a lifeline, a deal that would allow Spirit's business to survive the economies of scale provided by a merger with JetBlue's low-fare operations. But the Biden admin argued the merger would eliminate a key source of low-cost competition and harm customers, and sued to block the deal. In January 24, the federal judge sided with the government, ruling the merger anti-competitive, and JetBlue walked away. With that door closed and Spirit unable to restructure its debt or secure a new partner, the airline filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in November 24. The war with Iran hastened Spirit's demise as surging fuel prices crushed Spirit's margins. Okay, again, key term right there in business, margin. You got to know your margin. Okay, we're not just operating on hope, luck, or feelings. Okay, we got to know our margins. Cash position and ability to operate. A White House orchestrated $500 million bailout fell through as well as Spirit bondholders balked at being placed behind the government's debt claims. Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, I think we talked about this. It crossed my mind at the time that the U.S. government should let Spirit go out of business. Okay, so this is my justification for thinking that at the time. This airline's been failing for several years. They operate on razor thin margins. The war has pushed them into the negative. They're bleeding cash. So if I'm the U.S. government, do I bail them out with $500 million worth of bailout and just be in this position again a year from now? Or do I just let them go out of business? Yes, it's I think it was 17,000 people lost their jobs that work for Spirit, but the alternative is more cash bleeding in the future. Okay, so it was kind of in my eyes, it was the lesser of two evils. It was a lesser of two evils from strictly a business perspective. It made better sense for the U.S. government to let this airlines go out of business. All right, let's get back here. Over the weekend, the blame game heightened. Transportation Secretary directly blamed Biden's DOJ decision to block the merger. Joe Biden administration and DOJ tanked the deal. Duffy ruled out a bailout for low-cost carriers like Frontier and Avelo. Critics countered that Spirit's underlying business model was unstable regardless of the merger, and that the airline was on troubled trajectory long before. Even JetBlue's founder reportedly said the airline was in trouble, suggesting a merger could have backfired. Spirit, in addition to not hedging fuel costs and pushing the limits with aggressive pricing, has itself to blame for its demise, as well as deals it could not pursue. Spirit bailed on a merger with Frontier in order to pursue a deal with JetBlue. As Frontier is smaller than JetBlue, a deal with Frontier may have passed antitrust muster. What the blame game doesn't do is revive Spirit Airlines, meaning Americans suffer through an affordability crisis, lost one more option for budget traveling. Okay. All right. So a very interesting backstory here on Spirit Airlines. A couple failed mergers, failed government bailout, and here we are, one less airline in the skies. Okay. Very interesting article here from Yahoo Finance on Spirit Airlines. Okay. What do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about that? Interesting article there from Yahoo Finance. Let's see. All right, so that's one of the articles I want to discuss. I have really flown a lot of these airlines, including Spirit. I personally have no loyalty to any of these airlines. Okay, I personally have no loyalty to any of these airlines. On the flip side, I'm sure none of these airlines have loyalty to me. I got the same energy. Okay, not that I'm trying to be a jerk, not that I'm trying to be extra nice. I got the same energy. Okay, I have no loyalty to these airlines. These airlines have no loyalty to me. Whoever can get me to the destination on the time I want to go, on the day I want to go, that's who I'm rocking with. Okay, whoever can take me to my desired destination on the time, on the date, that's who I'm rocking with. Okay, I have no loyalty to these airlines. Not that I'm trying to be a jerk, but these airlines have no loyalty to me either. So I'm just meeting them with the same energy. So rest in peace to Spirit Airlines. Delta, time to pick up your game. United, time to pick up your game. Southwest, time to pick up your game. All the other competitors, time to pick up your game. Here's where your chance to increase your market share is. Okay, if Spirit goes out of business, and I'm Delta, if I'm United, here's my opportunity to snatch their market share. Okay. All right. So first article, Spirit Airlines. Rest in peace to Spirit Airlines. All right. Okay. So another headline I saw here recently was this one here: Elon Musk and Sam Altman beefing. Okay, two tech giants. Two tech moguls beefing with each other. Let's see what's going on. Let's see what's going on here. Musk sought settlement with OpenAI before Oakland's trial, filing shows. Let me see if I can pause the video here. And this article is from Monday. Okay. Elon Musk contacted OpenAI president Greg Brockman to gauge interest in a settlement 2 days before their high-stakes trial got underway in Oakland federal court. When Brockman suggested both sides drop their claims, Musk allegedly said, "By the end of this week, you and Sam will be the most hated men in America. If you insist, so it will be," the filing made on Sunday stated. Okay, the exchange in the latest flashpoint in a lawsuit that has already grown combative inside the courtroom. The SpaceX founder testified on Thursday that he did not read the fine print. Okay, let's pause right there. Okay, here's another business lesson. We just talked about margin. Okay, if you're in business, you got to know your margin. If you're in business, here's another thing to keep in mind: fine print of your contracts. Okay, so I gotta check myself. I gotta call out myself. I gotta definitely call myself right here. I gotta check the fine print of everything I sign. I gotta take my time and read all the conditions of any agreement I go into. If I go into an agreement, if I sign an agreement with you, and it turns out to be a bad deal, that's only my fault. That's only my fault. Okay, so I'm calling out myself here. I gotta take more time and read the fine print of any agreement, any contract I sign. The SpaceX founder testified on Thursday that he did not read the fine print of a 2017 term sheet related to OpenAI's shift from a nonprofit to a for-profit structure, only its headline. Musk is suing OpenAI, alleging that its shift to a for-profit structure betrayed its original nonprofit mission to develop safe AI tech for the public good, and that the company's leaders wrongfully profited from his charitable contributions. The SpaceX founder is seeking changes to OpenAI's leadership, 150 billion in damages from OpenAI and Microsoft, one of its largest investors. The trial before the U.S. District Judge so-and-so in Oakland, California, began on 4/28 and is expected to last several weeks, with a verdict possibly in mid-May. So some big heavyweights are expected in trial. Altman and Microsoft, each top executive, Nadella, are expected to testify later this month. Musk and his lawyer, OpenAI, did not. Okay, so we'll keep an eye on this. Some tech heavyweights beefing in California. Some tech moguls beefing. We'll see what happens here. Okay, so I've got a somewhat of an interest in the outcome here. I'm an investor in a couple of these companies, so I really want to see. I want to see some sort of agreement, some sort of outcome that's favorable to all parties. Okay, so California. Okay, California tech beef. California tech beef. All right, let's see here. All right, let's see. Okay, so let's see check some comments here. I flew Southwest last month and had to pay for bags. I hope the policy is overturned soon. Yeah, back in the day, I think you didn't have to pay for bags on Southwest. So you see these businesses adapting, right? As a business owner, you got to check the environment. You have to adapt. Okay, so you can't stay. I think the word static. You can't stay static. You have to continually adapt. You have to see what competitors are doing. You have to check what's working for competitors. You have to check what isn't working and adapt your business as required. Okay, so flew Southwest last month and had to pay for bags. I hope the policy is overturned. Yep. Shout out to Brooklyn. Okay, so I'm seeing. Okay, let's see. Okay, here we go. Southwest Air tried eliminating free bag. Okay, yep, there we go. Travelers backlash. Not sure if the policy was successful. Okay. All right. So it seems like they are charging for bags, according to Mia. Let's see. I got another one. Major airlines have introduced economy seats, cutting into low-priced airlines. I flew on Delta the other day, and I seen Delta even break up their cab into several classes. I thought it was just first class and economy class, but it seems like they had 3 or 4 classes the other day coming up to Canada. All right. All right, so a couple headlines so far. Spirit Airlines and some major tech drama in California. All right, let's see what else we got here. Maybe we check some headlines, and let's check some headlines from Business Insider. Another good resource that I use is this one right here, Business Insider. Let's check some live headlines from Business Insider. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's see what we got. Walmart changes cart rules for workers filling pickup orders after safety concerns. Okay, there's another example of a business adapting as they go. Okay, you have to adapt as a business owner. You have to adapt. You have to check the competitive landscape, and you have to make adjustments. This article says 2/3 of top software as a service companies won't survive the AI age. An analyst says, here's how to tell who will win and lose. We now have a price tag for Elon Musk. Elon Musk's ambitious Texas chip project. Welcome to Coinbase's new workplace. No meetings, no teams, no emails. Okay, I've got an article I want to share on Coinbase, but actually this seems like a serious headline I want to check out. We let AI imagine Coinbase's future without pure managers. The result is funny, unsettling, and much more efficient. Let's see what this article says. Coinbase is blowing up the traditional manager role. Thank you, Coinbase. Okay. Thank you, Coinbase. We're now in 2026. The traditional manager role was dated as of March 2020, in my opinion. Okay. COVID made a lot of things obsolete, in my opinion. One of them being the traditional manager role. Okay. For all you middle managers, you're on notice. AI is coming for you. You might already know. So make the adjustment. All right, so it doesn't look like I can read this article, but we're going to get to another Coinbase article shortly. I'd seen a similar headline from Disney CEO. I think it was this morning. Hopefully, maybe I can find that later. I think Disney CEO, they want employees to be epic. I think it was on Yahoo. Maybe we'll find out on Yahoo Finance. I saw the article stating Disney CEO wants its employees to be epic. Okay, my first thought when I read that headline was, is the pay epic? Are the benefits package epic? Are the ownership stakes for employees epic? If the answer is no, why would I be epic? Okay. Disney CEO wants you to be epic as an employee. Ask Disney CEO, is your ownership stake in Disney epic? Okay. Same energy, same frequency, same urgency. Okay. If they want you to be epic, ask them, is your ownership stake epic? If the answer is no, tell them to, you know what. All right, let's see what else we got here. Okay, we'll come back to Business Insider. Okay, I guess I'm banned from reading too many articles. I am banned from reading too many articles on Business Insider. Okay, you can check out the headlines on Business Insider yourself. I am banned from reading too many articles. Oh, here's one that's kind of interesting here. The balance of power in influencer marketing is shifting. Okay, the balance of power in influencer marketing is, I can't even read. Marketing is shifting. You know I can't read to begin with. All right. So reading this headline here makes me think of one thing. The rise of being a social media influencer in recent years. Okay, there's been a large rise in becoming a influencer, quote unquote. To any current influencer, to any aspiring influencer, make sure you have an ownership stake in whatever platform. Okay, you on YouTube, make sure you have a ownership stake in Google. You on Spotify, make sure you have an ownership stake in Spotify. If you're on Instagram, if you influence on Instagram, make sure you have a stake in Meta. Okay, otherwise you are too vulnerable. Otherwise you are too vulnerable. Okay. To any current influencer, to any future influencer, make sure you have an ownership stake in that platform. All right. Okay. So that's some headlines from Business Insider there. I am banned from reading too many articles. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So let's check. Let's check. Oh, that's the wrong one. My bad. I'm screwing up the technology. All right, let me go to another great platform. I just mentioned it. Let's check out some YouTube shorts. I saw some interesting YouTube shorts on BI's short page. Let's check out BI's short page. Okay, Business Insider shorts. Let's check out a couple of these shorts. Okay, here's Delta adjusting. Let's check out what's going on with Delta. This Spirit short from maybe last week. Let's see what's going on here.
Delta is canceling hundreds of flights, and it's not just because of the weather. The airline has scrapped around 500 flights since Friday. That's far more than American and United combined. And in some cases, flights were canceled just hours before boarding. So what's going on? An insider memo obtained by Business Insider's Taylor Raines and Haley Peterson points to a major staffing issue. Fewer pilots are picking up extra shifts. The acceptance rate for those trips has dropped from 37% to only 2% in a year. That's making it much harder to fill last-minute gaps. To keep flights running, Delta is relying on a backup system called 23M7, but that system was never meant for daily use. Now it's being used up to 15 times more than last year, and it can actually create new scheduling problems while trying to fix others. The result? Staffing-related cancellations are now 10 times more frequent than normal. They make up over a third of Delta's cancellations, a huge jump from last year. Delta says this isn't the level of reliability it aims for. The airline is now hiring more pilots and increasing reserves to ease the pressure. But for travelers, the disruption is already here. If your flight gets canceled, Delta says it will rebook you at no extra cost, and you may be eligible for compensation. For more on what's behind the...
All right, Delta adjusting. Delta making adjustments. All right, let's see what else we have here. I saw this interesting short. I don't know what's going on with this GameStop CEO. If I'm a GameStop shareholder, I'm wondering what's going on with my CEO.
GameStop wants to buy eBay for $55 billion, but can the company actually afford it? That was at the heart of an interview CEO Ryan Cohen gave to CNBC one day after making the surprise offer. But when CNBC's Andrew Ross Sorkin pressed Cohen for financial details, things turned awkward.
Walk us through how you could get to that price and how it would work.
It's on our website. It's half cash, half stock.
But that doesn't seem to add up. GameStop's market cap is about $11.9 billion. It has roughly $9.4 billion in cash, even with TD Securities contributing $20 billion in potential financing. As Sorkin pointed out next,
it's not locked financing.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
That's the CEO of a public company on live TV being asked how he plans to fund a $55 billion acquisition. This was not Cohen's usual presentation. For comparison, here's a CNBC appearance from July 2025.
We're a much more profitable business, smaller business, less stores, very strong balance sheet.
Yet in Monday's appearance, Cohen was repetitive and evasive, prompting co-anchor Becky Quick to chime in.
So, right, and that's a pretty straightforward question. I don't get it.
Let's pause right there. Here's a business lesson right here. Here's a business lesson right here. Here's our third business lesson of today. First one was margin. Second one was adapt. Third one is right here. Be prepared. Okay, be prepared. As a business owner, as someone you might be looking for funding for your business, you got to be ready at all times. Okay, this guy knew he was going to be on TV. His ass was not prepared. Okay, you got to be prepared 30 hours a day. Okay, you got to be prepared. Okay, this guy was not prepared. Okay, if my math is mathing, 55 divided by 2 is about 28. Call it 28. This guy said half stock, half cash. His math was not mathing. Okay, this guy was not prepared. Lesson number 3, be prepared at all times.
Where's the rest of the money coming from?
When the conversation shifted to strategy, Cohen, who took over as CEO in 2023, also pushed back on criticism of his track record. He argued GameStop is doing better than expected. But after 16 minutes, one thing remained unclear. How exactly would GameStop pay for eBay? The interview ended without a clear answer. For more on this story, head to...
This guy was on national TV. He was not prepared. If I'm a board member, if I'm a shareholder, my question is, why aren't you prepared? Why aren't you prepared? Okay, you're the lead executive of this company. What are you doing, man? Get your math up and get your preparation up. All right. Oh yeah, here it is. Yeah, this is what I was talking about a few minutes ago. Disney wants its employees to be epic. Okay, man, I wish the CEO came to me and wanted me to be epic. Let's just check.
Delta is canceling hundreds of flights.
Let me pick the right short here. Here it is. Yeah. Disney wants its employees to be epic. Epic AI users. My bad.
Disney.
So what's it actually like to go up the world's tall?
This damn thing.
Disney is now tracking how often its employees use AI, and the company is keeping score. At Disney, employees are now being encouraged to use AI tools, and their usage is being tracked, Business Insider's James Ferris reported. Some tech staffers have access to an internal AI adoption dashboard, where they can see how often they use tools like Claude or Cursor and how they compare with their coworkers. The system includes streaks and milestone badges, similar to apps like Snapchat. For example, a 10-day streak is considered uncommon, while a 30-day streak is epic and reached by only 2% of employees. Managers are also checking in. One engineer who hadn't used AI much received a message from their manager. It read, "I want to make sure the investment we've made in these tools actually translate into support for you." Disney says that the goal isn't to encourage waste, but to make sure that employees are using the tools that the company invested in. Still, some workers say that it feels like a leaderboard and that heavy AI usage is becoming a signal of performance. One engineer says that they haven't written code manually in months. Others say that AI is helping them work faster, but not necessarily reducing their workload. The bigger picture, as companies invest heavily in AI, using these tools may no longer be optional, and it could become a part of how performance is measured. For more on James Ferris.
Okay, Disney CEO wants its employees to be epic AI users. What's his name? I forget the guy's name. I forget the CEO's name, but Disney CEO, make sure your employees' ownership stake in Disney is also epic. Okay, same energy. Otherwise, I got better alternatives. All right, let's check out Yahoo Finance right quick. Yahoo Finance. Let's check some shorts here. Yahoo Finance shorts. Just check a couple of shorts and then we'll move on. This is an interesting one here. Let's check out Bitcoin.
I really love the 2000s. The 2000s was so significant.
I don't know why
and so
this seems to be off.
You won't need to save for retirement.
Let me get
I really love
to the right short.
Bitcoin revealed as U.S. weapon amid fears China stockpiling could trigger price chaos. So I told you about the admiral last week who said that the United States military was running a Bitcoin node and monitoring the situation, as we like to see. Well, this was actually Hegseth himself, the Secretary of War. What a name. Defense Secretary. I am a long enthusiast of Bitcoin and crypto potential. A lot of the things we are doing, enabling it or defeating it, are classified efforts that are ongoing inside our department, which do provide us a lot of leverage in a lot of different scenarios. He's almost as eloquent as his boss, Donald Trump. I literally don't know what that said, but it seems important. He's basically saying, once again, that the United States government is using Bitcoin. They view it as a political weapon, as a projection of power, specifically against China and Russia, who are using Bitcoin as well and who own a ton of tokens and a meaningful percentage of the hash rate. Bitcoin.
All right. So we'll see we'll keep an eye on that as the war progresses. Let's check this one. This is an interesting one here. Actually, this one's also interesting. Tim Cook explains why he's stepping down. Humanoid robots will soon be baggage handlers for Japan Airlines. So I guess they're starting off with baggage handling, cleaning, and maintenance. We'll see what else they get into. Okay, Tim Cook, let's see what's going. Why is he still?
I wanted to take a moment to talk about the transition we recently announced. I just celebrated my 28th anniversary of being here at Apple, 15 years as CEO. In fact, this will be my 89th earnings call. This moment for the transition is the right one for a number of reasons. First, our business has been performing extremely well. The first half of this year was very strong, growing double digits year over year. Second, our roadmap is incredible. And most importantly, we have the right leader ready to step into the role. As I have said, there's no one on this planet I trust more to lead Apple into the future than John Ternus. I wanted to take a moment to talk about the transition we recently announced. I just celebrated my 28th anniversary.
All right, Apple had earnings last Thursday, and this is Tim Cook speaking on his transition. All right. Okay. All right, let's see what else I got for you in my notes here. I got some earnings. For you. Let's check this week's earnings. A couple key companies reporting earnings this week. Let's take a look. Okay, this week of May 4th, I had my eye on Palantir Monday after close. Palantir's pulled back in the last couple of days, but I had my eye on Palantir. Palantir Monday after close, yesterday after close, definitely AMD I was looking at. AMD shot up a lot today. Spotify and PayPal yesterday morning. Pfizer yesterday morning. What else? MicroStrategy yesterday after close. Okay, Walt Disney this morning. Okay, they want you to be Epic. Tell them my ownership stake needs to be Epic. Otherwise, I got better alternatives. What else this morning? Uber this morning, CVS this morning. Later today, IONQ, ARM, Snap. Tomorrow before open, Blackstone, Celsius, McDonald's, 1-800-Flowers. Tomorrow after close, IREN, CoreWeave, Coinbase. I'm going to keep an eye on Coinbase, keep my eye on Affirm, SoundHound. Friday, Wendy's. Wendy's. So let's look at this week's earnings. This week's earnings. Are you guys owners in any of these companies? Which companies do you have your eye on? Which company do you have your eyes on? For me, again, Palantir, AMD. Definitely Palantir, AMD, probably. Those are the two biggest I had my eyes on this week. All right. Okay. A couple more articles I want to share. Talked about it a little bit earlier. Coinbase just laid off a whole bunch of people. Let's see what's going on in Coinbase. I am a part owner in Coinbase, so I have a vested interest on what's going on with them. Let me see if I can share this correctly. Okay, here we go. Coinbase to lay off 14% of workers as CEO Armstrong restructures crypto exchange for AI efficiency. Okay, so let's see here. Let me see if I can read the article correctly here. Okay. Coinbase Global, ticker symbol COIN, said Tuesday it's letting go of 700 employees in the coming weeks. The move, which amounts to 14% reduction in the crypto's firm's headcount as of 5/1, is intended to manage operating expenses in response to current market conditions. Okay, again, this is really just rewording what we talked about a few minutes ago, adapting to the environment, adapting to change, adapting to new laws, adapting to new technology, adapting to competitors. Okay, we have to respond to current market conditions and optimize the company's operations for the AI era. Okay, let's see what else is going on. Two forces are converging at the same time. Oops, let me make this a little bit smaller here. Two forces are converging at the same time, Armstrong said about the restructuring in social media post X, adding, "We need to be the front-footed to respond to both." Okay, so what does that mean? We need to be front-footed to respond to both. Okay, my interpretation of that is we need to be ahead of the curve. We can't be a laggard. We need to be ahead of the curve. We need we need to see things coming. We need to have foresight. We need to think ahead and move accordingly. In addition to the cuts, Armstrong said Coinbase aims to have no pure managers and will shrink its organizational structure to a maximum of 5 layers between top executives and all of the firm's remaining 4,300 workers. Okay, so Coinbase is now a flatter company. 5 maximum layers. They are now a flatter company. Less bureaucracy. Coinbase stock fell 1% on Wednesday and is down 13% since the beginning of the year. Coinbase stock has faced pressure so far this year as the crypto market has remained in a slump since October peak. The total market cap for digital assets has erased $1.6 trillion in value over that period. Coinbase also said its estimates total restructuring costs of $50 million to $60 million with substantially all of those costs from employee severance and other termination charges. So they're definitely cutting costs, severance, salary, benefits. Firm expects to reorganize all of the expenses in the second quarter, though timing could change. Coinbase reports. Okay, we just talked about the earnings. Okay, so Coinbase, they cut back, they cut their staff. Why keep humans when you can have AI? When you can be more efficient with the AI? Why? Okay. So Coinbase cutting a lot of their staff. We'll see what effect this has later on. We'll see what effect this has in a couple quarters or in a couple years. All right. Okay, so another headline I saw that was interesting is NVIDIA and their market share in China. Okay, NVIDIA, another key term in business, market share. Let's see what's going on with NVIDIA and their market share. Let me see if I can. Okay, here we go. NVIDIA CEO says company now has 0 market share in China. 0. Okay, let's see. Jensen Huang said company's market share in China has dropped to 0. Huang made the comment during an interview on an episode of the Special Competitive Studies Project. Memos to the president on 4/30. NVIDIA had, call it 90-some% of the world's market share. 90-something. Okay, if you got 90-something% market share, you got the market in a stranglehold. Okay, you pretty much have a monopoly if your market share is 90-something%. Today in China, we have dropped to 0. The U.S. has vacillated between allowing NVIDIA and rival AMD to ship chips to China. Oops. To ship chips to China and prohibiting the sale of their high-powered processors to the country. More recently, Trump said he would allow certain shipments of NVIDIA's H200 chip, but this guy said the company hasn't sent any of them yet. Skeptics of allowing sales to China say the chips will inevitably help the country's military develop and run AI software that could be used against the United States. But Huang and others in favor of selling chips to China argue that it's better to have the country rely on US-made chips. Cutting China off, opponents say, only incentivizes the country to build its own competing AI processors. Conceding an entire market the size of China probably doesn't make a lot of strategic sense. And so I think that there has been already largely backfired. That has already largely backfired. Maybe it made sense at the time, but I think the policy really needs to be dynamic and needs to stay with the times. Okay, so America's top executive, in my opinion, says policy needs to be dynamic and needs to stay with the times. Okay, so as business owners, we have to adapt with the times. We can't stay static. We have to be dynamic. We have to change with the times. All right. It also noted that while the government granted NVIDIA a license to ship its chips to China in February, the company hasn't generated any revenue from sales into the country and doesn't know if it will be granted to import an import license. Okay, so NVIDIA has zero market share in China. Zero market share in China, according to this article. Okay, all right. So we'll keep an eye on NVIDIA's market share in China. We'll see what happens. Let's see. All right, let's take a look at Yahoo Finance current headlines. Let's just click this button right here. Let's click this button in the top left. Okay, let's check some current headlines on Yahoo Finance. SpaceX isn't public yet, but Wall Street already has ETFs for it. Coinbase to cut. Okay, Micron tops a whole lot. Market cap. Stock extends rally amid AI demand. Talked about AMD soaring. All right, so some headlines you can check out. Bitcoin rallying above 82 as a sailor considers selling. First time I heard him considering selling. We'll keep on Bitcoin. Chipotle tells customers how to get more food. I think he just said, just ask. We'll see how that actually shakes out in reality. Let's check CNN Business. Check some headlines on CNN Business. Okay, Spirit. Airlines had the perfect conditions for jacking up fares, then Spirit collapsed. Let's see here. Trump has a new Strait of Hormuz plan. The market isn't buying it. Okay, every few days it seems he has a new plan. Every few days it seems he's been threatening with a new deadline. Market doesn't seem to be buying it. Microsoft, Google, and xAI will let the government test their AI models before launch. That seems like a good idea. Musk wanted to set... Okay, we just talked about this a few minutes ago. Pentagon strikes deal with 8 big tech companies after shunning Anthropic. Yeah, I think this just crossed my mind as we were going through that short. Why not Amazon? If I'm Amazon, if I'm Andy Jassy, I'm saying, hey, let me take a look at GameStop. Let me take a look at eBay. Maybe I buy them both. Okay, maybe I buy them both. what do they say? Big bank takes small bank. Big bank takes small bank. Amazon got big bank. GameStop is small bank. eBay is small bank compared to Amazon's big bank. So if I'm Jesse, I consider adding these two assets to my portfolio. I consider GameStop. I consider eBay. Maybe I buy them both. Okay, maybe I buy them both. Here's how Berkshire Hathaway did in its first quarter without Warren Buffett as CEO. Interesting headline there. All right. Okay, you can check some of these articles on your own from CNN. Okay, Dow looks like it's up 1%. S&P look like it's up 1%. NASDAQ looks like it's up 1.35%. So it looks like a lot of green in today's market. A lot of green in today's market. All right. Let's let me go over it right quick before we wrap. Let me go over to LinkedIn. Let's check some headlines on LinkedIn before we wrap. Let me share my screen right quick. Okay. Yeah, before I actually check LinkedIn headlines, let me as I wrote this on my LinkedIn the other day. If you can see, let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. Let me see if I can make this a little big. Yeah, here we go. Answer below. Who is chief executive of your life? Who is chief executive of your life? Okay, who is chief executive of your life? Is it you? Is it your boss? Is it HR? Is it your favorite politician? Or is it other? Okay, who is chief executive of your life? Is it you? Is it your boss? Is it HR? Is it your favorite politician? Or is it someone else? Okay, who is the chief executive of my life? Me and only me. Okay, only me and God will determine my outcomes in life. Okay, there will be no apologies for that. Only me and God will determine my outcomes in life. Only me and God. Okay, I'm the top executive in my life. I'm the lead architect in my life. I'm the lead engineer in my life. I'm the lead change agent in my life. I'm the top executive. I'm the chief executive in my life. Okay, who's the lead executive in your life? Okay, it should be you. It should be you. All right. Who is the chief executive of your life? I hope it's you. Okay. All right. Let's check some headlines. All right. Let's check some LinkedIn headlines. Let me see if I can find them. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, private sector adds a whole bunch of jobs. Okay, Disney soars in first earnings under new CEO. What else do we have? SEC pitches less frequent earnings reports for U.S. firms. OpenAI forms a $10 billion joint venture with PE deploying AI. Crowdfunding campaign to save takes off. Okay, I think it's too late. I was probably too late for that. McDonald's slowly phasing out refills as new. Okay, again, here's another example of a business adapting. McDonald's is slowly phasing out refills as new drinks debut. All right, what else do we have? SEC settles with Elon Musk over Twitter acquisition. U.S. accuses New York Times of hiring discrimination. Okay, that's just par for the course, man. That's just par for the course. All right, so some headlines there on LinkedIn. Okay, there's some headlines there on LinkedIn. All right, before we wrap, let's check the market. Let's take a look at what the market's looking like before we wrap. Let me see if I can share that correctly. Let me stop sharing that, and let's take a look at my trading view. Okay, here we go. So this is a look at current market, where we stand. Major indexes up. Let's see, what else do we have? AMD on fire. Okay, AMD 411.67. Okay, that I mean, AMD pretty much skipped the 300. It went from like 300 to 400 in a very short amount of time. Amazon 275, Broadcom 421, 421. Coinbase down to 195. What else do we have? Okay, Nvidia 204. Tesla 397. Okay, Tesla creeping back up to the 400s. TSM 415. Okay, that one shot up 5%, over 5% to now 415. Okay, so there's a few tickers I keep my eye on. All right, 1:01 p.m. Eastern. Let's call it a day. We'll meet again next week, Wednesday. Every Wednesday at noon Eastern, we meet and discuss current events in the financial markets. My name is Errol, and I am a freedom consultant. So I'll check you out next week, Wednesday. Peace.